you would actually have to pull off the baseboards, move them down, and repaint the walls. Like, you would basically have to remodel the entire fucking room to undo the damage that they did.
It was really bad. It was a pretty
really
deep
bad
gouge, and we tried moving the bed at least 3 times. On the first time, I was like, this is not what this should sound like, Dennis. Let's go get a Vaughn. And he's like, no, we got this. Like, just horrifying. No, we have...
You were the adult in the room.
We have...
You bear part of the responsibility.
We have video evidence.
Brutal.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like, I don't know, how many times have I, like, yelled at our staff? Like CEO yelling at
What do you mean
people?
yell? Like, straight up yell?
Yeah, like, mad yell.
Very
like,
few.
not just, like,
You get quiet.
passionately.
Yeah, he gets quiet when he's really mad. I haven't heard...
Not that often. I can definitely remember a few, but not that often.
Okay, well,
I have a favorite one.
Hit me with one. I have one that I remember that was, like, really good. I was furious.
My favorite one was at my parents' house.
Oh, what was that one? I don't even remember
Scrapyard
this.
Wars.
Oh.
Were you there?
I heard about this, I think.
Okay, was that me? Was I off camera, though, or was I hamming it up for camera?
You were off camera.
Okay, what was it then? I don't even remember.
Well, technically it was filmed. There is footage of it, but, like, we weren't, like, supposed to, like, a camera would just happen to be rolling. But someone was trying to, so there was, like, judging happening in the family room, and the judges were out in the garage, and you were able to monitor the filming and stuff that was happening in the family room, but you needed people to start shooting in the garage. And if you remember, like, the whole reason why we were there was because the day was crazy, because the power was out at the office, and, like, all these things were going weird. So it was a very stressful day, and then filming was, like, not happening correctly, and I don't want to recreate it, but...
Were we filming Channel Super Fun 2 at the same time?
Yes, at the field.
Yes, with the bumper balls or whatever it was. Yeah,
that was an interesting day.
That was a stressful day. I think I've only seen you yell twice, maybe, and I don't remember the exact situations.
The time that I remember, because I was more furious than almost any other time I can remember running this company, was when we lost a shoot due to utter carelessness. Just, like, completely, we're like, lost the SD card that had the entire footage for our shoot on it.
This was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago.
Okay, yeah, I have very, very vague memories of this.
Yeah, that was back at the Langley house.
Yeah.
So there's not many times that I have, like, yelled at people unironically. And I wasn't even yelling at a person in that case, because it wasn't an individual that was responsible for it. It was one of those, as a team, we were just being utterly careless with our data. And I find it's not the size of the transgression, it's the necessity of the transgression. And losing that data was utterly unnecessary. It basically was a combination of
It's a boiling again.
utter apathy and incompetence. Like, there was just no other way that it could have happened.
You can't lose footage like that.
Yeah. And the specific circumstances around it, though. Sometimes bad stuff happens, and I'm understanding of that. Like, we had people. I don't think I even yelled when someone who's no longer here left an entire camera bag full of camera, media, everything, just, like, sitting in front of a lobby in Vegas. Just got in the cab without it. Just left it there. Stuff happens, but when you had every opportunity in the world to back up the data and you just didn't, then I start to get really frustrated. So I was not as mad as I was when we lost the data, but because of how unnecessary the damage was to the floor, I didn't mince words. I think I made it clear that I was extremely unhappy with the result.
I was there when I found it.
Yeah.
You were there when I found it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's
He
right.
sent a message, and I read the message, and I immediately understood the severity of said message.
I didn't yell, though.
Nope.
I didn't yell. I don't think yelling is healthy. I don't think it's constructive. There was a company that I used to work with, like back when I was a product manager, and I was told that their boardroom meetings would often devolve into people, like, yelling and literally screaming at each other. and I heard
Just
this
a
and
fight for volume.
Dude,
I
it
just
is-
went, what possible reason could you have to be yelling at each other in a business meeting? Aren't you all on the same team?
I interviewed somebody a few weeks ago for one of the business job postings we have open, and when we were talking about, what's wrong with your current position, they were saying like, hey, the work conditions here aren't good, and kind of dug into that a little bit. And basically it was like, yeah, the way that we deal with any issue, large or small, is just screaming at each other. And I was like, oh, that doesn't seem very constructive.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Sponsor.
Sponsor?
Bailed.
Our sponsor bailed?
Yeah, isn't that the headline?
Our sponsor bailed? Oh, that's right. One of our biggest sponsors for the last 2 years bailed on their biggest project.
It was
You
his
heard-
idea for the title.
No, I forgot. Between telling you that and us talking now,
You
I
did film like 2
shot
videos.
other videos. I'm sorry, I'm trying.
Alright,
Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay. Intel Extreme Tech Upgrade is over.
It's done.
Finito.
Yeah.
Kaput.
Yeah.
Dunzo.
Yep.
You're never getting one.
Never.
I mean, I don't think you were eligible anyway as like top management, but like
Well, Ed got one.
Ed got. Yeah. How the hell did Ed get?
Yeah. I think I technically
Well, that's not
was.
fair then.
Yeah.
So maybe you're ineligible because you work for a different company. I don't know. I'll find some way
Oh,
to make
maybe.
it. You get computers anyway. You don't
Yeah,
need one.
I actually don't
Yeah,
care. It's
forget
fine.
it. Forget
Yeah.
it. The point is, Intel Extreme Tech Upgrade is over. We did 24 episodes, which, hilariously, at the time that we booked Intel Extreme Tech Upgrade 2 years ago, I was like, yeah, we're totally going to make our way through like everyone in the company. But the rate at which our employee count has grown
Been hiring more people than
has
you've been spitting out.
outpaced how fast we can make these videos. They're a ton of work, right? Because you got to do all the procurement. Everyone's kind of, this is their chance to like talk to you guys, right? So everyone's looking for not a gimmick,
Something that expresses who they are.
but a unique
in
element,
the
right?
purchases. Yeah. Yeah.
And so in the early ones, it was pretty simple. I'm going to be a game streamer. Gaming. Right? And now it's gotten a little bit more complicated. It's like,
Gotta
oh,
mix it up. You gotta make it a little bit more interesting.
exactly,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But now it's done. It's done. What is this? Guess how many views? Oh, we did 24 episodes of them. Guess how many views across all episodes? You can't look before reading this. Guess, then scroll to the readout super chats end of show section. Colton. Now I know Intel Extreme Tech Upgrade was a massive performer for us.
Yeah.
It was honestly probably the best idea that I have ever had in the entire history of this company.
I think outside of potentially Scrapyard Wars, I think I've seen people call it out as an individual piece of content that we do more than anything.
It's what I call a win-win-win-win.
Yeah.
Absolutely everybody wins.
Yeah.
The sponsor wins because particularly at the time they booked it, Intel didn't have a lot good to talk about. There
Yeah,
wasn't a lot of
and-
positive sentiment.
And with my like calling out the name of the reason why I brought that up is actually because they would always say Intel Extreme Rig Update. They wouldn't just say like Rig Update or Extreme Rig Update. Intel was at the beginning of the call out every single time.
Do you know when I named the series? When I was standing on the stairs to Anthony's place for the first episode. It had a completely different name. And
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, no, it's stupid.
Just brand it.
We're going to call it Extreme Tech Upgrade because it's like XTU, which is their overclocking
yeah,
software.
yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like, he, that'll be funny. Okay, let's go with that. And if they don't like
I
it,
know,
then
there's always got to be.
we'll dub something
Linus
over.
is always with his little acronyms. They always mean something. There's always something.
the
there.
fastest possible doesn't mean anything.
No, right.
Oh, over on Tech Wiki.
Forgot about that one.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
No.
Anywho, so we came up with Extreme Tech Upgrade, and it's a win-win-win-win. Okay, so the who was it first? So the sponsor wins because it's just all good vibes. There's nothing but good vibes. It's your tech in good vibes. How can you go wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, we win because we get sponsored. It's sponsored content, which you guys probably understand pays way better than
Oh, yeah.
normal content.
Oh yeah.
Right, but then here's the thing. If you can find sponsored content that the audience loves, the audience wins because they get a chance in content that otherwise wouldn't exist, right? To get to know all the different members of the team and see all these different approaches. I mean, it has been just wild. how many messages I get with people talking about how like inspiring Extreme Tech Upgrade was for people's setups, right? It's
That makes
so
sense.
cool.
That makes sense.
And I learned this kind of by accident, but the amount you learn about someone from how they would spend $5,000
Yeah.
is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, okay, seriously, I would strongly recommend this. If you happen to just be like a casual, high net worth individual, okay, first date, just give them $5,000 to spend and watch them. Okay? I bet you'll know if you want to spend the rest of your life with them. There you go. There
No
you go.
comment
Dating
on
tips.
that. No comment on that at all.
Yeah, that wouldn't be weird, right?
Wow.
And then the fourth win.
You're really setting yourself up for some really interesting expectations. First of all, if you can afford that at all, but you're also communicating that you can easily afford this. So I hope you're like, whew.
And the fourth win is the staff.
Oh.
It's like sponsored content that also turns into people having sick setups at home.
Yeah,
And
Linus found a way to flex some Mr. Beastie stuff, but he doesn't have to pay for it.
it's the best it's the best deal I have ever
It's
negotiated.
pretty sick.
Ever.
They're also genuinely really fun to watch.
Yeah, well that's what I said. That's the win for the
Like,
audience.
I
They're
watched
great.
Jake's entire video.
I've watched Dennis's twice.
Yeah.
It's just hilarious.
Like I think I've seen most of them at this point, and pretty much every single one that I have clicked on, I've watched the whole way through. Because it's actually like consistently pretty interesting, because you'll find whatever, you'll roast them for taking whatever from The Office, that's another thing. What they steal from The Office is
that
almost
tells
like
you a lot about people too.
yeah. The whole thing is just like, I don't know.
Do they go for stuff they think I won't notice? Do they just go for the obvious stuff? Do they just go straight for the high value? I don't know.
How long has it been there?
How long have they had it? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
But guess what? Linus Media Group Incorporated happens to be a production juggernaut, and as such, we were not going to simply allow a great thing like Intel Extreme Tech Upgrade to die simply because Intel... I mean, you know what? The reality of it is we love working with Intel. We've been working with them as long as we've existed almost. Do you remember the first time we worked with Intel? It was like 3 months in.
Yeah, was it one of those like commercial things that we did?
Yep, it was like promoting like a snowboard promo that they were doing with like 4770K or something like that, or 6700K. Or must have been 47. I don't know. It was a long time ago.
Definitely not 67.
Yeah, it must have been 4770K. You got like a free snowboard or something. It might have even been Ivy Bridge. Holy crap. Might have been 3,000. Anyway, the point is that we did like these little in-video like pre-roll things. Massive shout out to Mike, you know who you are, who got that whole thing kickstarted on Intel's side because they had zero awareness at that time. Like influencer, YouTube, what?
Yeah.
Like nothing. They would go and they would blow 6-7 figures on all kinds of wild stuff that, as far as I could tell, had essentially zero impact. And then, you know, when I wanted like $500, they'd be like, sorry, who are you? I'm like, I don't know, only like one of the biggest tech YouTubers, which I guess doesn't matter right now, but could someday, I believed, Luke. Actually, I didn't really believe much at that point. I was just trying.
We believed a little bit.
We
There
wanted
was a little bit of belief.
we wanted to believe it.
There was hope.
That was pretty much all we had to go on.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've been working with Intel almost as long as we've existed, and you know, like any relationship that lasts for 10 years, things ebb and they flow. you know how things go, and we're still going to be working with them, but you know, whether it was changing priorities over there, whether they dropped the ball, well, no, we didn't drop the ball. We followed up. We gave them time. But whatever happened over there, they couldn't make it happen. And if you had to guess, what company would find it pretty hilarious to kick Intel while they're down and scoop Extreme Tech Upgrade out from under them, who would it be?
ARM. Kidding. Other three
you've
letter.
got one letter right.
other
Actually, you've got
A-word.
2 letters right.
Yeah. AMD. Let's go. I think, the whole chat already guessed. Yeah.
AMD is coming. It's not going to be called the same thing because that wouldn't be as funny.
Also,
But
Extreme's like part of their branding and like.
yeah. So it's going to be called AMD Ultimate Tech Upgrade Auto. I had nothing to do with the naming this time. I take no responsibility for that. The first episode will be with Adam. Oh, really? Okay. The first episode is going to be with Adam from the writing team, and then my understanding is that there's going to be a very special second episode that is going to have none other than Yvonne as the subject. Now, because she is my wife,
How are you gonna tell me I can't get one?
I'm not privy.
And Yvonne gets one.
So I can explain this. I can explain this. This was a business
Yeah, good
decision.
luck.
This was a strategic decision made not by me.
Okay.
This was actually made by the business team because they really want to put a strong foot forward with these first couple and then lock down a longer term deal here. Because full disclosure, guys, when you renegotiate a content deal, you never do it at the old price. So it's not cheaper. I can tell you guys that much. Look, okay, I got a lab to build. I got a lab to build, okay? And I think that
people are asking, is it the same budget?
I actually don't know the
Someone
details.
suggested a budget of $6,900. It's pretty good.
Okay, done. $6,900 Canadian.
Brilliant.
$6,900 Canadian. Done.
Yeah.
I think I'm actually getting a discount.
Was it USD before?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
5,000 US.
Oh man.
Yeah, so it's going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. I have no idea what's coming, which is half the fun for me. In the early ones, I was actually quite involved. I mean, not people like Anthony. Like he didn't need me to help him, right? But a lot of the early ones, I was quite involved ahead of time in sort of part selection and stuff like that. And then over time, procurement started to help. The rest of the writing team started to do a lot more of it. I think I was only really involved in the first couple. And now I kind of just walk in. I'm like,
What's going on here?
yeah, what's shake-a-lakin'?
I'll zap strap some speakers to
Yeah,
this random
let's shoot
stand
a
I
video.
found for you.
Okay, that worked. That
Oh,
worked.
no, I wasn't actually flaming it.
You need to be there, by the way, when we finally do the episode reacting to Linus's old setups.
Oh yeah.
Have I shown you any of them? Like, have you
Well, I've
ever?
seen a bunch of them.
Have you? Like, well, no. I mean, from
I've known
before you
for
knew
like
me.
12 years.
Yeah, but I did most of my janky stuff before you met me.
Okay, but I've seen the I'm trying to go from memory. The green water cooling one that had the purple coil around it.
Okay. Yeah.
I've seen that one. I've seen the chiller.
Okay.
I definitely haven't seen all of them, but I've seen some. Is what I'm trying to say. You showed me some pictures.
I've done some weird stuff. I'm trying to find something now, but
Did you know that at one point in time, I had transferred my components over to a new case, and the power button on the case didn't work. So my motherboard at the time had a power button on the motherboard. So I rigged up an elastic band and pencil setup, so that the side panel of the case, I got a hole in it, and I had the pencil mounted in the hole, and the elastic bands would hold it in place, and you would just press the eraser on the pencil, and the pencil would go through and press the power button on the motherboard, and that would be how you turn the computer on. It was sick.
okay. I will see your eraser rubber band and raise you one surround speaker stand.
That's amazing.
Yes, that is a wheel.
Is that a brush wheel?
That is a wheel at the
Oh,
bottom.
that's just a wheel.
It's a wheel.
Beautiful.
Yeah, the base is a wheel. That was the inspiration for Jake's surround speaker mount. Was my setup from when I was about 15.
That's amazing.
So I'm gonna dig through all my old pictures. I'm gonna like pull out all the weird janky stuff that I've done over the years, and we're gonna do I mean, obviously I can't react to it. This all seems perfectly reasonable to me, but I feel like you guys are probably gonna have some
We'll
stuff
see.
to say about
I
it.
do feel like I should be involved with that, but I feel like I'm gonna agree with your decisions more. Because you remember, like, I mounted a water pump on a cut-off piece of the old mud flap of my old car. Like, you remember that? Like, right now, there's a graphics card laying flat on top of my computer with a PCI riser cable coming out of the main component, or main area of my computer, going out all the way up, connecting into the graphics card with a second power supply, not in the computer, on the outside of the computer, running power cables up the back of the computer into the graphics card so that everything works, because otherwise it wouldn't have fit. I enjoy the jank.
Okay, that's fair.
I did not adopt the jank. I was born in the jank.
That's another really funny one to me. The amount of flack that I take, people accusing me of being a fan of this or a fan of that, particularly accusing me of being extremely anti-AMD. Like I hate AMD
We
for
both
some
started
reason.
with AMD systems.
This was my desktop wallpaper for, I kid you not, years. I literally repped AMD on my desktop wallpaper. This is super sick wallpaper. I forget where I got it, but apparently I still have it somewhere. For actual years. So when I say AMD's product is bad, it's just because it's bad. It's not. Fortunately, they're not bad these days. So AMD Ultimate Tech Upgrade is going to be a ton of fun. We're going to build some sick gaming rigs, and I mean maybe some other things. So there it is, guys. Oh right,
My computer's all red right now. It's all AMD.
yeah, mine too.
Yep.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been Threadripper for a while, but you were Intel before.
I was.
Yep.
But then-
not now.
I mean, for what I'm assuming is like a year and a half now,
Yeah,
I've been
And
AMD processor.
it's fine.
It's been great.
It's been great.
Yep.
I mean, I do have some problems with like sleep states, but like realistically, that can happen on Team Blue as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna make too much fuss about that. But because I had to clear my CMOS for just like as a troubleshooting step for the AMD 30-day challenge, I bunged up my NVMe RAID settings, so that was really scary, and B, I ended up losing that setting that I had to change to make it so that my system doesn't just randomly crash all the time. So there's like there's an S3 sleep bug or something like that. I have to disable all power saving states, otherwise my computer, not when it's working, when it's idle, will just crash. It's like randomly crash, hard lock, full lock. It's very annoying. It's a Threadripper bug, and AMD has completely abandoned enthusiast Threadripper, even though they said they definitely wouldn't. Goes to show you. I have no problem calling out sponsors, even new ones who just signed a big deal with us. Okay, so try to guess.
Guys.
Intel Extreme Tech Upgrade is over. 24 episodes, total views.
Yeah, so, man, I have not paid attention to views on these, so I'm coming in extremely uneducated. But I'm going to throw my guess. I feel like this might be high. I'm going to throw my guess at 50, though. Because I feel like some performed, like, really, really
Yeah,
well.
Dennis's has like 6 million or something
Yeah,
like that.
some of them just, like, smashed it out of the park, but I have to assume some of the other ones didn't do as well.
I'm going to say 70.
Damn.
Because almost across the board, they have at least 2 million views.
Oh, they're just killing
So
it.
that's
Okay.
48.
Yeah, I haven't even looked.
And
so-
then there's a handful. Like I think Riley's has 4 or 5 million. Anthony's has at least 3.
Riley's was good.
Riley's was great.
Anthony's was good.
They're
So
all
many of these
great.
were so good. Yeah, I'm just remembering them because it's been a long time.
It's been
right?
2 years.
Yeah, so like, I don't know off the top of my head, but
Literally, I think the biggest W that I have ever W'd. And this is one that I know for sure was actually my idea.
I was genuinely stunned to the point where I thought I was being trolled when I was first informed that we were not renewing. And yeah, I don't know.
Oh, wow. I haven't looked at views for these in a while. I think we're both going to be way short. Sarah's is 4.7 million. Dennis's is at 9.
9 million.
David's is at 6.
I just great.
I
I actually don't think I've watched one that I didn't think was just fantastic. So I don't know.
Yeah, Plouf's is 2.4. Alex's is 5.7. Brandon's at 3. Chase's did 4.2. It's a great thumbnail though. This is a fantastic thumbnail. Look at his computer. Freaking guy. Love it. Andy, I broke his bed. I mean, that's the thing is like that's why reality TV works, right? Like you
This
can't
stuff happens.
you can't write
Life happens, man.
Yeah, you can't write wilder stuff than just what happens when you try
Yeah.
and complete a project together. And especially when people have me do really weird stuff like paint their basement, right? Like, but that happened in Andy's.
Yeah.
All
How
right.
far are we off by like?
gonna
We're
check.
off by a lot.
I think we're off by
Is
a
it
lot.
like?
88 million. So I was off
were
by like
actually-
20%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you were off by more, so I
Yeah.
guess I can give myself a little pat on the back for that. But
There
like
you go.
realistically, I look at analytics infinity% more than you do these days. So the fact that I wasn't closer than you were means I might not be doing the greatest job at that.
But yeah, they've clearly been killing it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to do more. The good news is that if the first couple perform well, and hopefully Andy's not watching this to know that we can stack the deck a little bit, because they will, then we should be signing a long-term deal, and we should be able to keep these things rolling, because there's so many people that you guys, A, haven't gotten to know very well, or B, haven't even met yet. There's people who work here that I haven't met yet.
That's a weird feeling, eh?
It's super weird. I have no idea how to deal with it. Like, there's people who work here whose only interaction with me on a weekly basis is to watch the WAN show.
So I was actually just going to bring this up. I've been work from home for a long time. So this has been happening to me for a while.
Right?
And I'll walk into the office and walk past groups of that I've just... Godlike! And I'm like, oh.
There was a stretch there after the summer where I think every Monday morning meeting we were announcing a new hire.
New person.
In worse news, Microsoft and Google have laid off thousands of workers. And this is not, no, this is not deja vu. You are not watching an old WAN show from a few weeks ago. This is like again, this is still happening. The tech sector is shedding workers like there is absolutely no tomorrow. Microsoft announced it is cutting 10,000 jobs. That's nearly 5% of its workers. The stated reasons include changes in consumer preferences and macroeconomic conditions. While Microsoft is cutting jobs in some areas, though, they are actually still hiring in others, notably in the AI department. I mean, we've talked about this a fair bit over the last couple of months, but GPT-3, the upcoming GPT-4, Microsoft's major investment in OpenAI seems to indicate that they are laser focused on what chatbots mean for their future business, whether it's Azure, whether it's Bing, whether it's Windows. I think we're going to see extremely deep integration.
A lot of the stuff that Microsoft has openly shown that they care about on the consumer side of things for the last very long time, Cortana, Bing, other things like that, would be aided very heavily by the popular thing in AI right now, which is large language models. So improved versions of that would be extremely valuable to Microsoft, so it makes sense.
Interestingly, Microsoft announced the layoffs on January 18th, 1 year to the day after they announced their plans to acquire Activision Blizzard for $69 billion, and 1 week after reports indicated the company plans to invest $10 billion in OpenAI. So they have money.
Interesting.
They have just chosen not to spend it on retaining workers.
So I don't have notes for this, so I'm going to say things that are wrong. I'm just prefacing it like that.
We liked you better last week.
When I just couldn't talk.
At least you didn't say anything inaccurate.
As far as I know, once OpenAI makes enough money that they can pay back whatever.
Like Microsoft's investment, you mean?
Yeah, the shares are gone and everything kind of reverts back to being owned and operated under OpenAI. So I wonder if this $10 billion investment is to try to stave that off.
Oh. I actually have no way of knowing
no clue.
The terms of...
I have no clue. I don't remember what the terms were, blah, 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 but I feel like this might be kind of like a defensive maneuver because they see them potentially doing too well too fast, so they need to up their investment potentially. I don't know. Maybe. I know nothing. Moving on.
Meanwhile, Google is cutting 12,000 employees, or around 6% of its workforce. Google's CEO stated that following 2 years of dramatic growth, Google hired for a different economic reality than the one they are currently facing. Over the course of the pandemic, Google's workforce increased by 78,000 jobs. I mean,
that's so much.
I don't know, man. See, this is the thing that's so frustrating to me, is when management gets it right, management benefits, and when management gets it wrong...
At most companies, the employees get hit.
Yeah, so, I mean, we've talked a lot about sustainable hiring. I think I've talked about this on WAN Show before, but basically the way that Yvonne and I forecast when we sit down and we set a budget for hiring is we look at the previous year and basically go, okay, assuming no growth whatsoever next year based on that year. So we basically build in that we could revert back to last year's performance and not grow at all. Can we afford whatever it is that we're hiring for this year? What was that clear? So our hiring budget for this year is affected by how we performed last year and assuming that the following year will be like that. What has actually happened is for 8 out of our 10 years, we have experienced significant growth. For 2 out of our 10 years, we've had what we've kind of called reinvestment years. And that's a big part of the reason that we take that approach, is because it gives us the flexibility to have a reinvestment year where we can make long-term investments that might not pay off for 2 years or 3 years. I'm expecting this year that we're in right now to be what we would call a reinvestment year. I'm not expecting, well, actually, we're forecasting less profit this year than last year. For any Linus Media Group, Floatplane, or Creator Warehouse employees who are watching, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It will pay off in 2024. It'll be fine. Everything's good. And if it didn't, we'd still be able to afford it because it's all kind of based on how last year went. Anywho, I don't know. It's frustrating to me because this feels like such a management failure, and yet I pretty much promise that Google's stock went up this week. Like, here, I don't actually know.
Response stock does go up in these situations.
Do I have Google on my thing? Oh, no. Oh, wait. Yes. Google's stock is up like 5% today. Genius.
Investors like it when a bunch of people get fired.
Yeah, which I don't know. Here's an alternate way of looking at it. Should investors like it when management is so incompetent that they accidentally hire 12,000 too many people that they then can't afford to pay, and presumably whose projects, whatever it is that they're working on, are now stalled? Like, I don't understand this way of thinking, and it's frustrating. Yeah, Ben Mitchell in Floatplane Chat says Google stock went up 5% when they fired 5% of their employees. Maybe if they want the stock to go up 100%,
just fire everybody, including Cook.
Okay, I'm gonna buy some Google real quick here. On that subject, I actually have some more details to share on my next investment that is now final. The wire has gone through. They have effectively deposited the funds. They've cashed the check. I'll tell you guys a little bit more about it, but first, let's talk through the rest of this Google stuff. So affected employees from Google will receive 60 days of pay, followed by at least 16 weeks of severance. I mean, you gotta at least give them credit there. That is a pretty decent severance package. Like, if I had
16 weeks of severance is like,
yeah, if I had 6 months to kind of figure out what I'm gonna do next.
affected employees will receive 60 days pay, followed by at least 16 weeks severance. What's the difference here?
I'm not sure. I'm sure there's some distinction, like, legally. But like Microsoft, Google's AI department is unaffected, and the speculation here is likely because of the threat that ChatGPT poses to Google's dominance. Honestly, asking ChatGPT things is so much better than Googling them.
You do have to. I know you know this.
I know, it's an old data set,
It's an old data set, and you have to remember that it will confidently be wrong. So you have to keep your mind about you. But it is
godlike. Google search results can be confidently wrong too.
Absolutely.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the challenge, though. I read a really interesting article a while back. I wish I had it in front of me so I could give you guys a more accurate summary of it. But essentially, it made the argument that voice assistants, as we know them, are doomed. They're going away. The model was supposed to be that by collecting all of this information, building these natural language models, and making these voice assistants ubiquitous in our lives, either in the phones in our pockets, or in the smart speakers in our kitchens, or wherever else they happen to be found, in our TVs, they would somehow start to sell us things, and therefore generate a value to advertisers, generating a value to the companies who have built them. As far as anyone can tell, Cortana's gone. Alexa seems to be losing copious amounts of money. The whole experiment has fundamentally failed. And what I wonder is, was the problem that they weren't good enough? Yes. That was part of it.
He's part of it.
They are fairly crap. Or was the problem that people will simply not interact with someone who is constantly trying to sell them something? So what I'm trying to say is ChatGPT going to only be a viable alternative to Google searching until it starts trying to sell us crap? And
Unless
if
it's a paid service.
if it can't successfully sell us crap, then will it ultimately just not find a way of being commercialized? Because, like, if you think about it, I don't mind looking up information by myself and being bombarded with ads. It's just kind of part of the process, whether I am seeking out information in a newspaper or TV or on a web page. But, and maybe I'm outing myself as a bit of an introvert here. If I have to communicate with someone and be sold something, I would rather just buy nothing and walk away. Like there's certain types of purchase experiences that I just, like, I dread them. I was thinking, hey, I have not adorned my wife with any precious metals or jewels in a solid 7 to 8 years. Maybe we're due. I should probably take her jewelry shopping. And I just, man, you ever gone like jewelry shopping at the mall? They're like like hyenas.
I hate it.
They're so aggressive.
Yeah.
You tell them, no, I'm just browsing for now. Like, my body language is completely closed. I will preemptively, before they even get a chance to inhale, to open their mouths and start talking to me, I'll say, I'm just browsing for now, thank you. And they hover. They hover. They're practically breathing down your neck. And it drives me crazy because, and maybe I'm about to prove myself wrong, right? It drives me crazy because they wouldn't do it if it didn't work on somebody.
Oh, yeah.
But if the more natural you make the interaction for me with this chatbot or with this voice assistant or whatever it is, I feel like the more personally offended or bothered or attacked or whatever the word is, the more personally anxious I'm going to be when they try to sell me something ultimately. Does that make sense, or am I way off base here?
No, that makes sense. I think, and I'm probably going to be wrong, and they're probably going to go with a different model, and that will be super bad. But I'm really hoping they go for a prosumer type of approach and charge for it.
Not if it's Microsoft. I mean, Microsoft doesn't even charge for Windows anymore, essentially. Like, what even is Microsoft's business? It's pretty clear they're chasing that. I mean, why else would they have kept beating this dead Bing horse?
Yeah.
It's got to be an advertising model. I mean, obviously they're certainly open to software as a service. I mean, we see that with Game Pass, but like, again, back to what the best way to monetize something that interacts with you.
Free version, like if there was like a YouTube Premium ChatGPT or a YouTube Premium Bing powered by ChatGPT, whatever, I would pay for
Like Bing Premium. Yeah. It won't be though, because you don't want your brand to be sullied by the crappy version. I mean, Microsoft learned this back in the day with Windows 2000 and Windows ME. I mean, what they look at why are we maintaining a good kernel? Bit kernel. Why don't we just have one good kernel? Yeah.
There was a thread on Twitter where people were talking about like what they would pay for Chat GPT powered by GPT 4.0 whatever.
Sure.
And that you and I both know that that type of interaction is always useless trash, because all the people talking are like, "Oh, I'll pay whatever," and then it comes time to do it, and they don't.
Pulling your actual credit card out of your actual wallet is much higher friction than talking about how you're gonna like spend money on the internet.
Yeah. It like never means anything. It's completely useless conversation. But I was a little bit surprised knowing all of that. How many people were enthusiastically wanting to line up to pay for it? Godlike. I don't even know if it's prosumer. Potentially just straight up professional application. I think they could make a lot of money from businesses. Because businesses, I think, would like powerful 4.0 powered ChatGPT reinforced employees. And you look at how much these platforms are charging companies for such basic crap.
Yeah.
But it's worth it for the company, so they just pay it anyways.
Yeah.
Like the bill for Teams,
Yeah.
enormous.
Yeah.
But it's like,
well, what are we gonna not have like
guess we'll pay for it. Like
intra-company communication? Are we just gonna not have that? I guess
it's text chat when text chat was free, like 20 years ago.
I know.
But we pay out the nose. Like it's really expensive.
Yes, I know how much it is.
It just drives me nuts.
Thank you.
It's crazy to me.
Don't forget, we also pay for G Suite
and then it's
and
so
Adobe
bad.
Suite
And Slack and everything else. Yeah, it's and they're really expensive. So if you offered something that was actually powerful and wasn't literally a text chat that barely works,
Yeah.
I think people would pay a lot for it as a company. Maybe not so much as a person. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's because it's kind of like how we talked about the issue with real estate, where when people are buying it to live in it, the calculus is very different compared to when people are buying it based on and pricing it based on how much money they can make from it. Like from my point of view, when I look at the cost of something, I'm looking at it in terms of how much